Man, it was the biggest mistake in my life. Why I left LA? To throw a little teaser out there, but not to go into too far. I was a part of a cult. Anyways, exit.
Mm.
I
You were part of a cult?
of a cult. Yeah.
Oh, of
Yeah.
a cult. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a meme. It's stupid. It's not a real game.
It's down to like my last $100 in my checking account. I got to do something.
You're just giving it to a bunch of zombies that are just going to rip it apart.
Game dev can be very toxic, and people can be very just untrustworthy.
We've been through it all. We've seen everything.
Let me tell you something they don't do is if you get scammed, they're not helping you out of that situation.
The most insane thing is it's not necessarily illegal to have a cult.
Hated my life, and I didn't want to hate my life. Like I felt like I was doing something wrong, and I needed that extra, I don't know, that leg up, right? Yeah. And so,
Wow.
I was still dealing with some stuff with that because I had left it by that point, but I was still in it because of the kind of like people in it were people around it who were in it. I was working for them, so I was working at the time for a uh, a pretty big events company. It was a Christian
Mm,
events company,
mm.
um, and uh, I was able to travel around and do the job. Like it was a work from home type of thing. And
Yeah.
so one of our clients was out here in Virginia. We did some big event on the Washington Mall. And when I
Okay.
was there, I met this dude who was like, I have a record label and want to help me out. And I was like, yeah, sure. And at the time, I was like wanting to get out of LA. So I sort of used that as an excuse and I kind of connected with him and moved out here while I still had that job with the events company. And found out that really that whatever record label we have wasn't really like a thing, not a real thing.
Okay.
And so I ended up buying a bus, the one I'm in now, and converting it, and then
Oh, nice.
drove around the country. Yeah, that's why my internet cuts out, by the way, because sometimes it just loses connection.
That's all
Um,
good. Yeah, that's funny.
so I'm doing my thing. I'm out here. The bus is registered out here, like because Virginia's cool in the sense of that if you live out of state, you can register a vehicle here because so many military people come in and out here. So
Oh, that makes sense.
so even at the time, like my residence was California, I could be here because of my vehicle, right? So that's
Mhm.
how. So I would drive around the country. I'm heading back here to VA just to make a stop.
Yeah.
Um, I had driven probably like 9 months, something like that. Anyways, during that little break, I get fired from my job, and I'm stuck here. And
Oh,
so
man.
that's technically how I left LA, and I've been here ever since. Uh, yeah, I don't know, I never could get back to a place where I could move back. And then the
Yeah.
pandemic happened, and had to stay here for how that
Yeah.
whole time period. So
Couldn't really move
yeah,
much during that. So, are you still in the cult, or
no, no, I'm out of the cold.
is it any notable cult that somebody would like people would know about, or is it like this kind of like an
Yeah,
underground cult?
no, it's not underground. It's pretty mainstream. People just wouldn't think it was, but if you go
Uh-huh.
look them up, like you can find all kinds of like shady stuff. You
Which one
know,
is it?
um,
What is it
no,
called?
I don't have to hide it. Why am I even hiding it? See how they get you? No, no, I
Yeah.
was part of the House of Prayer. It's called the International House of Prayer.
House of
Uh,
Prayers.
and if you look up some of their scandals, now I wasn't, yeah, so I was at their main facility for a little bit, like in Kansas City, and and when I moved back to California, it's a whole story there, but I was part of the Pasadena House of Prayer for a long time.
Okay.
Uh,
Wait, so that big gold dome building, because I just pulled it up, is that a part of them?
hold on, let me see.
In LA, on the hill? Ah, God, what is it?
Well, you know what? I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay, it looks, maybe I'm thinking of something else, but there's that building. It's like, any movie you go see that's where they're trolling around LA, it's got, like, one of the best views or something like that, and that was one of the things that just pulled up when I was looking it up.
Oh, no,
This is
no,
crazy, though.
no, it should look more like I mean, the main headquarters in Kansas City, that's more like a shopping mall look to it.
Oh, got it.
But
Okay.
they're like they have like plants everywhere. So everybody
Uh-huh.
kind of starts at the main base and then they kind of do their own thing at some city. But the
Mhm.
whole thing is based around like 24-hour worship, prayer and worship. So there's
Okay.
someone always playing music all the time, like at any
Okay.
of the day. At least that's the ideal. But no, that place is fucked up. Like,
That's crazy. That's crazy, man. Um, my wife and is like so like I don't know if I should share, but somebody she works with right now, they used to be the two people or the guy that owns it and then his wife used to be in a cult and they left the cult and now they have like a successful they do like online coaching and stuff like that now. But it's crazy how uh what I think is the most insane thing is like how in a way it's not necessarily illegal to have a quote. I mean, sorry, a cult.
mhm,
Like because how do you define somebody's free will?
right,
You
right.
know what I mean? Like how do
Yeah,
you define that?
because
And
people kind
how
of
do you
choose it.
define yeah, and that's the craziest thing to me when it comes to a cult is like because you would think like, oh, because you see like, the really effed up shit that people go through in a cult, and they're like, how does the government just not bust the door down and like take it over? And you're like, because when they talk to these people, it's voluntary. They want to be there. They want to be a part of it.
Yeah,
You
it's
can't.
weird. That was me.
It's the
I can't even
craziest thing
say.
because you sit there and you talk to them and the people are just like, "No, this is what I wanna be a part of. This is who I am." And you can't tell them, "No, you're wrong. You don't wanna be a part of that." Because then you just it's such a weird I mean, that's a whole thing that I'd love to, like, deep dive into is just, like, the psychology
Oh
behind
yeah, yeah, yeah,
getting into, like
yeah, yeah.
I
No,
mean, we could go on a tangent if you want. We could dig into this because this is fascinating.
you,
But it's just like, how did like what was the thing that grabbed you that was like, okay, yeah, I want to be a part of this in a way institution? Because obviously they don't say you're gonna be in a cult. They obviously
yeah,
tease you or get you involved with some facet of it that seems interesting at some point in your life. Like, what is that?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I can't really answer it too well. Well, it's such a complex thing, right? Because we're not just talking
Yeah.
about we're talking about like the United States.
Mm,
We can start there, and just how
mhm,
just Christianity, just the religion itself, is so ingrained in
mhm,
people. Depending on where you grow up or how you whatever you experience. So like with me growing up in Texas, Southeast Texas, it's just Christian,
yeah.
and that religion is true. Jesus
Mhm,
is true. How we think about it and interpret the Bible is the right way. So you kind of get
mhm,
indoctrinated. Like a lot of people get indoctrinated, not realizing they are indoctrinated. That's like
mhm,
this is how nature is.
mhm,
Um, and then there's also other dynamics such as like th- how you grew up, like the family you grew up with,
mhm,
and if like your kind of understanding of relationships through that way. Like,
mhm.
speaking for myself, like, I don't know, this is a big thing for me because it's actually rooted in my game dev journey as well.
Oh, wow.
Um, but I was 30, like, I'm 38 now, and I was
Mhm,
30. I just like, it was around 30 when I was really even starting to, like, snatch my life back from all these things I believed, and
mhm,
so spent a lot of these years just trying to understand what, like, what you said, how do people just, like, why did I choose this? Right?
yeah,
Like, when I was and not just choose it because because I was a Christian, quote unquote, for majority of my years as a kid and teenager, uh and then moving to LA, and even then, but there's a point in my 22, 23 where I'm like, I'm a part of this thing and I believe it wholeheartedly.
mm,
And I identify a couple of things like um one, hated my life, and I didn't wanna hate my life. Like, I felt like I was doing something wrong, and
Mm,
I needed that extra, I don't know, that leg up, right? Like,
mhm,
I guess my thought process is, obviously, I'm doing something wrong, and I'm cursed, or I'm not blessed, you know? So I need
mm,
help.
interesting.
And so, but the funny thing is, like, in that moment, though, I didn't, like, run to, uh, any other religion. It's not like I was, like, saying, like, "Oh, I'm gonna go be a Jew
A
now,
Buddhist or something
or a
or whatever,
Buddhist,
yeah.
or I'm gonna," yeah,
Yeah,
it was like, "I'm gonna go be a Christian because that's, like, what I knew, and that's
right.
who I have friends with." And so that's
Mhm,
how I kinda got mixed in all that. Um, and then, but there's also, like, I remember, like, being, after getting out of it, I recognized, like, other things in it. Like, for instance, because I'll say this, because I didn't grow up in the best household,
mhm,
and, like, my parents were very neglectful, which is a big thing about people who join cults, 'cause they're
mm,
they have, like, certain traits from family. But I was, like, growing up, I was neglected. I didn't feel like a part of the family, didn't feel
yeah,
like, my parents liked me or loved me very much. So when I got into
mm,
this community, which was so foreign, but I say community because that's what they can make it feel like.
right.
You get encouraged a lot. You get told a lot of, like, positive things. Um, this particular religion I was in, it was part of the charismatic movement. So there's a lot of, like, prophecy. So there's people who hear from God telling me what God thinks of me, right?
Oh my god.
So when you're kind of, like, in a place of need, like, when you need that, especially when you've grown up without any type of, like, uh validation or encouragement or feeling loved, when you have strangers kind of, like, filling that in, love bombing is a one way to put
Yeah,
it. It can really kind of, like, put you in a place of vulnerability to just embrace it completely.
yeah,
So that was something I recognized, though, like, going into it. Like, I started recognizing, though, like, some of the people I was around, like, I don't know, once the honeymoon's over, right? You start encountering, though, like, all the same shit you would regularly encounter, but just in this environment. And that's when I
yeah,
realized at some point that, oh, I'm still just, like, allowing the same people, like people that are like my dad or like my mom. Like, I'm still allowing
mm,
those people into my life to do harm. And it's really
yeah,
fascinating to see that, because that's, like, what I was naturally drawn to, because that's just what I was familiar with. Uh, but there's also other things at the time, my personality, it's such a complex thing, a
yeah,
mental and psychological thing that it goes beyond just belief in the religion itself.
right,
But what's unfortunate is that, like, the religion encourages it.
right.
Um, and so it's like they
Well,
can
it's
phrase.
unwavering devoutness, I think, is what, is that I think,
It's
sorry,
hard
not
to
to I didn't mean to
question.
cut you off.
No, no,
I
go
didn't
ahead.
mean to cut you off there, but it's like I have this, like, kind of, like, crazy obsession with, like, just belief, not, like, necessarily religion belief, but I just mean is that, like, we're motivated by our own personal belief system,
Mhm.
and it could be based in religion, it could be based in politics, it could be based in, just generally anything, but that's how we operate as humans, I feel like, is just, like, you have a belief, and that's what drives you no matter what, and you can't change a belief, you know what I mean? Maybe over time you can start to, open yourself up to it, but it's so once a belief gets inside of you, it's like trying to like trying to sway someone from that it's so difficult to move. You have to have something incredible happen or something extreme happen for that belief to really
Yeah.
get shaken.
Yeah, especially
And
if,
so
like.
it's crazy. And like I said, not I don't even mean necessarily religion specifically as a belief. I mean like I said, politics, people make their politics their religion
Right.
at some point where the belief is just this whole thing. But it's crazy to me. Like people
Yeah.
get so entrenched into their absolute like belief and they're unwilling to uh uh even be open to any sort of new information potentially that could make you see the other side or something like that. But anyway, that was a little bit of a tangent. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, no, it's all good. It's a good conversation because, I mean, uh, I know growing up, you didn't really hear I didn't really hear people talking about things like this, you know, like it's taboo
Mm,
in a sense because you don't want to
mm,
talk against things you believe in. Like you're talking about
mm,
beliefs, like it's like when your beliefs when you're let's say like things like morality, like
mm,
the morality you have is influenced by your beliefs. It's really hard that puts you in a place where if you might not want to admit you're wrong,
mhm.
like you're saying, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
so anything connected to that, like hearing the
Mhm,
opposite side of that, evidence
mhm,
against it, or you know,
mhm,
you could say stuff like mental illness, right? For example, you know, like
mhm,
when someone's being doesn't want to admit that they might need help because they don't realize it themselves. No, I'm just this is just my personality. True, but it could also because you know your chemicals in your brain aren't firing
yeah,
correctly, and there's like these two truths, and so it's like kind of like the person's like looking at themselves like this is who I know I am, and then there might be like these negative connotations connected to this thing, and now suddenly I don't know who I am, and that's
mhm,
scary. That's
yeah.
terrifying.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a
No, that's a really good point. Like, I think that's, what you get a lot of the time is people you especially if you challenge someone's belief, then their reaction is to dig their heels in. It's to stand firm because 'cause you're challenging a belief. It's like, "What are you talking about? This is what I know to be true. This is my personality in a lot of ways," you know? And so it's like, yeah, I mean, and then in some cases, I've had personal experience where, people believe certain very specific things that or just, or just have a rough mindset about certain things about getting help as far as going to the doctor and things like that because they have a belief that they just think, well, they're not going to do anything for me anyway.
mhm,
You know what I mean? And it's my hardest, like, just generally my hardest thing is like, I have a very active, like, playing a scenario out type of thing, where it's like someone will express to me that something's going on, and then I don't know if it's just my lizard brain, but I just, like, I automatically just play out like, "Okay, well, if you continue down that path, these are the most likely outcomes." You know what I mean? And so, like, when I hear that stuff and I talk to, like, people that, this kind of issue kind of sprung up and they tell me, like, "Well, they're just not gonna do anything out for me." I'm just then I my brain plays out the scenario. I'm like, "Okay, well, but if you don't do anything, the likely outcome is nothing changes and then something unfortunate happens." You know what I mean?
yeah.
And
So are
so,
you?
like, you think it sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, it's gonna be. We're gonna. Well, sorry. Are you like a free will? Do you like believe in free will, or do you like think something else? Determine what's fit the terms.
I'll be perfectly honest with you. I'm generally pretty open to, a lot of things. I think I mean, you could say that we have free will, and I think I do, but in the same time, you could there's a lot of evidence to point you and saying, "Well, is
Right.
there free will? Like, or
Yeah.
is this all kind of in a sort of design?" You know what I mean? I'll be honest, I don't have the answers in that regard at all, and I don't have a strong enough opinion in one way or another.
Yeah. I think
That's
it's
where I stand
interesting.
on.
Yeah, I think it's interesting though for sure. I don't know either because it feels like right because it feels like I'm making my own choices.
Yeah.
But if you like, I like when people kind of present the arguments though because there's kind of like, well, you're do you? You're like,
Yeah.
do I?
Yeah.
Because you're so limited by like your knowledge, your bank
Mhm.
account, your
Mhm.
options like available to you in
Mhm.
whatever sphere environment,
Mhm.
the culture around you. Like there's all these factors that variables that get in the way that influence the choices you have. And
Mhm.
so in some way, like you're saying, like you can kind of foresee what's coming because a person doesn't really have that many choices.
Mhm.
It's like more common between everybody than this
Mhm.
idea of like because we know that we can't because you don't actually we know we don't have free will, right? Like I can't will something into existence. So
Right, right,
right,
right.
and it does cost something to practice my will. Like it
Yeah.
does cost like even at the very mental energy, right?
Yeah.
So this idea of like having it freely available is not true. But so we can kind of remove that and we say we do have a will, right? And
Mhm.
it's an interesting conversation.
Well, I think perspective too, because whenever I think about like when I look back into the decisions that have things that have happened to me personally, but also some of the decisions that I've made in my life, And you look back and you're like, well, if those things hadn't happened, I wouldn't be where I am now. And in a lot of respects, I'm happy where I am now. And in some cases where I look in the past where I was unhappy where I was, you almost had to go through that to get to where you were to be happy. And
Right.
so it's like when you think about like this idea of free will, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, well, was that really a very heavy conscious decision to go through those things? Or was that kind of a grander design for me to get to where whatever my, this is deep, but like your general purpose in life type of thing. And I mean, you could definitely spend a lifetime examining that and probably make yourself go absolutely insane realistically. But it's, like I said, I don't have a strong enough opinion on it either way. There's a lot of evidence that I think that, man, there might be a pretty grand design in some things. But then at the same time, then you look at like, there's some really horrendous things that happen. You're just like, God, that's terrible. But man, it's just every time something really bad happens, usually it almost like a phoenix, something usually good comes out of something really horrendous. And I like I said, it is way above me, and
Yeah.
it's if I think about it too
Not
long,
my
I'll
pay
probably
grade.
yeah, above my pay grade, but also if I think about it too long, I'll probably go insane. Um, but yeah, man, that's crazy. But and also like as you said, you're raised the way you were raised too. I was also raised Christian, and uh, I'm not a very spiritual person in general. Like it just not in the sense of like a rejected or anything like that. It's more just like there are things that I think that are really good that people should kind of follow as far as with some religious teachings, as far as like,
Mhm.
like just fundamentally, like you probably shouldn't kill people. Not a good idea. You know what I mean? Like
Reasonable.
just
Yeah,
like,
that's reasonable. Yeah.
yeah, reasonable, like fundamental things that I think are really good within religion. And then obviously you get the psychos in cults that then take it to another degree that just want to manipulate and hurt people. And you're like, bro, I don't think God's gonna like that one. I don't think when your judgment day shows up, God's gonna be too thrilled about that.
Yeah.
So it's like, freaking A, man. I don't know. But yeah, like I was raised Christian and I'm just generally neutral. I generally think that there was more of a grander image or design or creation over just, we exploded into some sort of we exploded into what we are now. I'm like, that one seemed well, and they've done the numbers, man. It's just the odds are so astronomical. You have to think that there was some sort of, what's a manipulation involved to kind of get things started, or even someone potentially orchestrating something. And maybe it keeps me sane to even think about that, thinking that we're just not a bunch of random things, occurrences that are happening all at once.
It's one of those things I think obviously it's like, well, I'll leave it to the professionals to figure it out. But,
Mm,
um, I think at the core of it though, it's such a human thing to wanna know and wanna, like, explore that I think it's healthy even though it's endless, right? It's kinda like
yeah.
jumping into the void of it, but there's so many just but you could also be someone who doesn't even wanna look at it,
Mm,
which to me feels very inhuman, like,
mhm.
soulless in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, but I don't know, I thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
To segue though from that, like, I took you're right, like, I feel like, I have a hard time with that kind of years of my life understanding
Mhm.
that, like, all that there, but
Yeah.
when I was doing my thing there, I never, like this is actually my kind of my origin story of game dev or origin story. So
Mhm.
grew up playing games, love games, the whole thing, like every game dev ever, right?
Right.
Um, and around like 2012, I was wanting to learn how to make games, and so I kind of s- kept it a secret from people. But I was
Mhm.
learning how to make games. At the time I was doing web development and stuff. Kind of was my background, and so I got into HTML5, making HTML5 games. It was still
Mhm.
pretty new. Sorry, but gotta get that
You're
out.
all good.
HTML5
I'll
games
cut it.
was a kind of a new thing, right? No, I'll
Yeah.
leave it in. This is let's be raw. No.
No,
Um,
no, I was there you go. Yeah, no worries. Go ahead.
yeah, no, so I was starting HTML5 games, and I didn't tell anybody because I knew if I told anybody, they would discourage it. Like, because
Mm,
it's just one of those. I was around people who were like, "Throw away all your DVDs because they don't, they don't, you can't worship God with all your movies." You know what I mean? That type
yeah.
of like the Harry Potter haters,
Right, right, right.
that type of thing. And so if I knew if I told anybody about it, it would be a problem. I mean, there was always already problems with me being a musician, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and it pretty much killed it. Like this, if can, I cannot be a musician anymore because of that place.
Wow. It's
Um, and
unfortunate.
so and so when I finally escaped it all, when I was finally like I was driving around the country and I was like in a place of like I'm no longer around these people. I'm no longer I'm untethered from it physically, right?
Mm,
Um, and that was a tough time because when I removed myself, when I finally was like admitted like there's something wrong here, and having like and I remember like sitting down with the leadership there with a quote unquote exit interview and just getting
mm,
grilled like about
interesting.
like as I'm like I chose to go to that like but I remember like one of my boss at the time was like don't say anything whatever they say don't say
Mm,
anything. I basically get in there and they were just like just saying awful stuff to me.
right, of
I'm so broken. I don't know what's going on. Like that's something
course.
one of them told me. I'm like, of course, yeah. So I'm out of this. At that time I was like suicidal. Like I was just so hurt.
Jesus.
And I was so hurt from like feeling like I lived this lie.
Yeah.
Uh, Fast forward, I'm actually traveling, just got through California. I'm in the redwoods and there's this interesting little beach. It's kind of like you go through the forest and it opens up for a little bit and there's mountains on the right and then it's just like a beach on the left and I'm sitting
Mm,
there and I'm happy for like the first time in my life.
wow.
Trying to I just remember thinking like I couldn't remember why I was upset. I just remember just like I felt completely different. And that was kind of like the moment for me where I was like, "Oh, this is a natural thing." I don't know how to really explain it. Like I didn't need any of that stuff.
Mm,
And so that was kind of yeah, that was the beginning of me figuring it out like I have everything I need, right? Like
mhm.
I could do life on my own, and so to speak.
Yeah.
And so fast forward more, I'm out here in Virginia. I lose my job. That whole thing happens, and I can't find a job to save my life out here. Like there's nothing.
Mm,
I can't. I just nothing. Nothing. There's nothing is happening. I'm
mhm.
down to like my last $100 in my checking account,
Wow.
and I decided, I was like, I got to do something. And so at the time, I'm still a game dev, like still a hobby game dev. I just have a little bit
Yeah.
more, like a lot more experience. Um, I'd already like gone through the ringer with some things. I think it's kind of common with indie game devs, like
Mm.
game jams or getting a popular game and doing a Kickstarter and the Kickstarter failing. There's discovering that not all communities are the same on the web on the online.
Mhm.
Uh, and so I'm thinking here, like, in my pixel art skills have gotten a lot better.
Mhm.
And so I started promoting my pixel art on Reddit, and then I picked up a gig, and then I picked up another job, and actually that's how I became a kind of stepped into the professional world of it because people kept
Yeah.
hiring me for like little bitty pixel art things, and then I got a game, and then and I realized that I was really good at this. Like I really loved it. It
Yeah.
was something that I could do, and it wasn't attached to anything negative.
Mm.
Uh, I feel like it was a long story,
No, it's great.
but
This is exactly this is great.
it's the one thing I never. Yeah, during that time is the one thing I kind of like kept close to my heart and like let it be for me. I didn't tell
Mhm.
anybody, and then it kind of like when I went back to it years later, 2018, it like bared so much fruit in my life. Like I ended up within 3 months, I paid off all my debt. Um,
Wow.
and then the pandemic happened, which
Oh
is
shit. Yeah.
which was awful for everybody, but for me, it because everybody was home. That's where I started getting my first big gigs because everybody was like, "Well, we're going to make a game at home now," and so I started
Oh
getting
yeah.
like I started getting animation jobs, and I just kept getting better at it. Like I don't know, but that's pretty much what I've been doing since 2018. As far as like
I
money
mean,
wise, like
yeah.
most of my money comes from. Actually, I don't think I shared you
I
my website, but you can kind of look at it like
Oh, I just pulled it up. Your
okay,
saltandpixel.com?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I got it up. And actually, I saw your fear I'm sorry, Night of the Flesh Eaters. Sorry.
oh
I had
yeah,
some my brain moved faster than my mouth. Um, no, that's your pixel art, and I'm assuming you did that key art, like the cover, right?
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean, that was one of the things that caught me for sure when I first saw your stuff was just like, well, first, also the fact that you made a Game Boy Color game. That was like, this guy, they make Game Boy Color games? Like, it for some reason, it didn't even like register that people still make games for older consoles. I didn't even think that it was possible. But then I thought about it. I was like, well, why would you stop? How could, of course you can make games for those. It's not like the consoles are all burned and destroyed. I mean, why wouldn't you be able to make those types of things? So I thought that was so unique. And then I saw your pixel art, especially for Annihilator, and I was like, dude, this guy's got some talent. like total like props, man. I was shocked. I really like your art. I think you got, I mean, it looks really, really cool, especially like I said, the one I'm looking at right now, which is the Night of the Flesh Eaters. I think that looks really cool. The skull, awesome.
thank you. Yeah, I actually recently updated that too. I need to update that again on the website. Yeah, you know what the
So
funny thing is? This is even like on my portfolio. This is even some of my best work. A lot of my best work's hidden behind NDAs and stuff like that.
oh,
Um,
that's crazy.
but yeah, Game Boy. This is the Game Boy section of the
Mm,
podcast or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, you know
Well,
what?
that's
Here's
like you were well, I was just saying what you were just saying is like not all indie dev communities or dev communities are this like the same. And I remember when we first talked, you said, "Oh, I mean, you're going to blow my mind as far as when it comes to the communities and how supportive this type of community is." So yeah, I would go for it, man. It's
you
very
know what?
enlightening for sure. So yes, go for it.
You know what? No, this is fun because I'm often shocked by how like how people don't know about like
Mm,
what is called the homebrew community or
mm,
homebrew is what it's been dubbed. This is my best understanding. I'm pretty sure there's a historian who knows, but
mm,
from what I can tell, it's kind of burst out of the well to me it seems like it's birthed out of the modding community.
mm.
Um, Game Boy modding because that was like a big kind of like a thing. It's been a thing for a long time. Emulation. Uh, but uh, but yeah, where do I even start? Man, I don't even know where to start. I mean,
I guess in a way, like how did you find this community, and then what kind of sparked the idea? You're like, you know what, I'm gonna make Game Boy games. Like what was that little journey like?
yeah, where do I? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Where do I even start with this? Because I do pixel art, right? And so I think a lot of like with indie dev, right? It's retro looking games, like on Steam or
Right.
whatever. Like they're easier to make.
Yeah.
Um, and I think at some point I was just like, I want to actually, I needed to learn I wanted to learn how to actually do the look, quote unquote, of maybe like the NES or something. I won't say it's probably rooted in some kind of art direction, like trying to for myself, like trying to figure out like what is appealing to people or how to make it. I did get a
Mhm,
few. I know I did get a job or two that specifically needed me to learn how to do it, like how to make
mhm.
graphics for the NES, and that
Okay.
was probably the launching point for myself making games myself.
Mm,
Um, but but that was even a long step because I wouldn't really get into it until I learned about GB Studio, which is
Okay.
a engine that came out a lot of, feels like a long time ago now. Which allows you to make a Game Boy game without needing to know a lot of how to program in assembly or C.
Okay.
So that's what I make these games in. So it's good for me because like I can focus on the artwork and the kind of the game design aspect of it, which is what I already do with my HTML5 games. Because I use Construct 3, which I have a knowledge of, web design, like I could HTML5, JavaScript, and all that stuff, but I don't really have to think too much about it in that program, that engine, because there's a lot of stuff that's automatic, click and drag or double click to add a behavior or whatever. Um, so GB Studio is a lot like that, but there's just a lot of little weird things about it because of the system it's for, such as like it's like the Game Boy's a kind of a tick based system rather than a frame rate.
Mhm.
So you gotta program a game with those limitations in mind, like with it being so slow. Like you an example would be enemy movement. Like you can't have enemies moving on the same tick because it'll slow down the game. So you got to space them.
Interesting.
You got to space their starting movement out each tick. And so when you're playing the game, you might not notice it that they're like because it's going by pretty fast, and it
Mhm.
kind of looks like they're moving at the same time, but they're really not. They're like they're
Mhm.
spaced out. So things
Like
like
on
that.
Annihilator specifically, right?
Yeah,
Like,
no,
if you were to play Annihilator, that's what you're talking about, like, 'cause I played Annihilator, at least I played a little bit of it, and you're right, you can't tell that it looks like all of them are just running at you when you're shooting the guys, you know what I mean? Going through each little room and
mhm,
stuff, but,
yeah,
that's an interesting limit.
yeah, each enemy is on
And
their
then
own little timeline because each have like a little wait for them to move
okay,
after they complete their cycle. But you'll notice it like when like for example in the first stage, there's a couple of times where enemies will come out of the chambers at the same time, like at
right.
3, and when 3 of them are moving, it kind of it slows down. What's cool
Oh,
about it is
okay.
it feels like it needs to happen, because it's like takes a moment. I hate them. It takes a moment, like it's like a kind of like a what's that kind of game feel where it's like you feel the impact of them crashing through because the game slows down,
Oh, yeah,
and then
I know
picks up.
exactly what you're talking about, but I can't think of
Yeah, it's
what
it's a
yeah.
consequence of the engine, but
Mm,
it works in that regard. But you can see it like there. That's what's happening.
mhm.
Um, it's actually a really good thing. As I mean, it has helped me out a lot in the sense of just modern games because on the Game Boys as well, one of the limiting factors is that you can't spawn in uh characters. Like they have
Mhm.
to in that scene, they all have to be present in it,
Oh,
and
I
then they
see
have to
what you mean.
appear. So when you destroy a character, you have to reposition it, hide it, reposition it. Um,
Okay.
and that usually comes in handy for still now modern games. Like if you make a vampire survivor type of game, you
Mhm.
don't want them spawning in like all those thousands of enemies. You want them to move out to save you
Mhm.
some of that frame rate.
Yeah. Calling me out, that's basically what we're making. More more or less, we have our obviously our own spin on it. It's a multiplayer, but,
Mhm.
so actually, there was a question I wanted to ask because, obviously I sent you those questions, and one of the things was like you said, which is you think Steam is basically ruining the industry, and I kinda wanted to get your take on that and figure
Yeah.
out what you mean exactly.
Um. Gosh. All right. Here's my thing. Right. So let me start with this. So the other day I posted about Annihilator, because I have a PC version coming out.
Mhm.
And I posted there, and one of the first comments, one of the only comments I got was no Steam.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I'm looking at it going like, it's so interesting, right? Because you don't need Steam to play it. Like
No.
it's you can actually go to itch right now. Like he could have clicked the link, gone to itch, and played it in his browser, the demo.
Mm. That's exactly what I did.
Right? It's just right, but there's a wall because people
Mhm.
expect Steam. I don't know why. Like, right?
Yeah.
But honestly, like they weren't. they're not a serious customer anyways. They're never not going to buy it, right? They just want to
Yeah.
comment on it. Like that's the thing. But the thing about Steam is that every time you go to Steam, every time you promote to Steam, everything, if you're solely Steam focused, the thing you're doing is you are promoting to Steam's customers. And that's
Mhm.
why he's like, what? No Steam? Because everybody on
Mhm.
Steam is invested into Steam and they're
Mhm.
just consuming your work.
Mhm.
And if kind of you get, I think a lot of people get that vibe. Like it doesn't feel like you're really making any real connections with anybody on Steam.
Mhm.
Like their community services, the community options they have, all just feel very disconnected. Very,
Yeah.
they're commenting on your work. You're not talking with a customer. You're not talking with someone who enjoys your work. You're not talking to your customer. You're talking to Steam's customer.
Mm.
And I feel like it's created uh and this actually goes into AAA as well, but it's created this culture uh that I think it's part of the reason why the distance between the gamers and game developers is so toxic because they created a
Mhm.
culture where uh, people can't connect with one another
Mm.
in a real like in a way that say like if you owned a restaurant or if you owned a store or any other type of business, right? Because that's what we are.
Yeah.
Game devs, we're a business. In any other
Mhm.
scenario, you would have a person come into your shop that you could meet them. You could shake their
Mhm.
hand. You can talk to them. You can get to know each other. There's no buffer in between
Mm.
you and the customer who then becomes the consumer. And that just doesn't exist in the world we live in with distributors.
Mhm.
Like if you,
That's a I
so,
it's I mean, what's cool, like, I think I actually really appreciate that answer because it's there's so much more nuance to what exactly you're saying compared to, like, for instance, your itch page. You I feel like you can build a little, at least from a outside looker looking in, itch feels much more personal when you make an itch game and something like that. And I feel like the commenting is much more free flowing with people that are actually trying out your game and things like that compared to Steam, which you're right, is a very mass marketed product that gets as many people to get into their platform. And with that, you get the good and the bad and the ugly, which, the bad being, I mean, you don't really get super good connections with any of your customers for sure. The ugly being you can be lost in the sea of indie games of everyone trying to compete for visibility. And but the flip side that I think where a little bit of good comes is just like their tools and ability to try and, I mean, I think it opened up the door for indie devs that people didn't even realize. Like before Steam really opened the door to indie devs, when it was just basically, you
green
had to
light.
base, they didn't really have a mechanism for indie devs for a long time. And then they opened the door to it. People then finally realized, oh, it's possible to actually make a game and do this myself without having to go through a publisher or a big name or something like that. I can actually do this myself. Where a lot of the communities, like in a lot of the really niche or indie dev communities, were kind of small and not really known on a mass market level.
Mhm.
Where indie dev has now become such a boom, and I honestly think a lot of that is to think from what Steam has done as far as giving indies such a massive platform. But then again, you get the ugly and the bad with that good, um, for sure. But no, I totally know what you mean. Like you don't really, some Steam profile just says, "Oh yeah, it was too short," and you're like, "Okay, did you enjoy it?" Like, thank you. That's super constructive. Where if you actually had like a little bit more nuance and can actually talk to somebody, have a dialogue conversation with somebody, you can get a little bit more insight on that. And there's just no real mechanism through Steam on that. They're just like,
Yeah.
just put it
Yeah.
out there. Plus, they take 30%.
Yeah. No, there's two conversations here because there's Steam is very customer focused
Mm,
client, meaning because
mm,
they have a man, they are pro customer. They make it so
mhm,
easy to refund a game. They make it so easy, like it's really easy to be a customer of theirs. You don't really have to invest. You could wait for the Steam sale. There's no real commitment like big commitments if you don't want them, you know,
Mhm.
which is good in the sense of like to fight against another thing they created, eSlop, which is they're the
Mhm.
originators of that whole thing. So
You like, can you define it a little bit for me, please?
trash
Like,
games, uh,
okay, got it. Yeah.
asset flips, I think there was a report where like, like a lot of like seven, like I don't know, I forget the number, it was really high. There was a lot of games being submitted that took advantage of Steam's achievement or card systems. Like people just bought them just to
Oh.
do that and exchange them. And so
Mhm.
Steam started throttling games based on like certain metrics. Um, I got to find the data because I don't know what top of my head, but there's something like there's like data of like majority of the games on there, like 70% of them were just crap, right?
Mm.
Just
Yeah.
they were there just to take advantage of some other mechanism,
Mhm.
um, which hurts the overall community, like asset flips and all that. You're familiar with it. Like it hurts the overall community
Yeah.
because now we're bidding the algorithm and
Yeah.
fighting the algorithm, which is really difficult on their platform.
Yeah.
Uh, I
Well,
I
which
just I don't know. My
sorry, go
personal
ahead.
thought is
You go ahead.
I see Steam more as like a social media platform. It's
Mhm.
kind of every game is basically a post, and it really
Mhm.
relies a lot on some kind of outside viral to be successful in the system. So it just doesn't make too much sense to have Steam be a priority when majority of the work that has to happen is outside of it. Meaning for you to even get like a foothold in Steam, you have to make sales. Like that's their big thing for the algorithm. Like you
Yeah.
have to 10 reviews, a lot of reviews, positive reviews, and then it has to actually have sales, full price
Mhm.
sales, right? To
Mhm.
get it through, to push through the gate. And those are all driven on from the outside. And so my
Yeah.
kind of thinking is like, well, if I'm already whatever, if I'm spending money and I'm
Mhm.
promoting whatever on Reddit, whatever, if I'm just sending them to Steam, then I'm just promoting Steam, right? Whereas any other time, what I should be doing is drive them back to me. Like I'm paying
Mhm.
for it. I should be driving it back to me and maybe offer Steam as an option for those people who are Steam customers.
Mhm.
But there's like I'm totally don't want to ignore the majority of like a lot other millions of people who don't want DRM games, who
Mhm.
you know who might who might just want to be very supportive. Like, hey, I like this game, we'll support them. I'll just
Mhm.
buy it from their website, which is you can do. I mean, it's the same thing as
Yeah.
putting on an itch. But also, you don't want to isolate those people who want to actually join your newsletter and join you. And so if you send them to Steam, this is a problem. I don't like this is something I don't like about Steam is that you don't get access to their email addresses. You don't get any of
Mhm.
that stuff. You have to use Steam's platform to connect with them, right?
Mhm.
You get twice you can really connect with them in a meaningful way through email. But you can only, but even then, you can only like say, "Hey, this is on sale," or "Hey, this is updated." You can't be like,
Yeah.
"Hey, I just was thinking about you guys. Here's a little thing. I want to say hi," which is what people really appreciate, oddly enough.
Right.
Um, so I mean, I don't know.
That's a
This is
real
just, I don't know.
yeah,
I'm
that
still
it's
learning.
just really good. No, no, it's a really, really, really good point because like I was saying earlier, I mean, for Steam, you're giving them 30%. And it's like, when you really consider you putting your game up for sale on Steam, are the tools that they give you to promote your game worth 30% of your sales in perpetuity? And it's like, or 30% of, 30% of your gross sales. And when you start to really consider some of the tools and things that they give you, like you just said, the community talking to your community. I mean, you have almost next to none ability to even talk to people that are interested in your game. And it's just, um, I think those are very constructive and real criticisms of the Steam platform for indie developers for sure.
Yeah. To kind of jump back into homebrew, something with annihilators. This is kind of what I realized because I can't put Annihilator on Steam.
Mhm.
One, as a Game Boy Color game, like I would have to go through emulation and,
Mm,
and that's really difficult to do.
yeah.
Um, and there's also the dynamic of people like modern gamers don't really understand Game Boy games, so it'd probably get chewed up there because it'll play like it'll feel like a Game Boy game, which is what it's
Yeah.
supposed to feel like.
Yeah.
But it's just that there's a real dynamic there of people who just won't understand.
Mhm.
So to kind of promote the game, I have to create my own kind of stuff for people interested. Like I have to create my own wish list, which again which are only just an email newsletter notification,
E
anyways. So
exactly.
so so what was fun about Annihilator was I was able to kind of set up a pre-order, and I could take the full advantage of the pre-order, like they just pay me through PayPal, so whatever the no 30%, just like the PayPal exchange rate fee, right?
Mhm.
And I would get their emails, and then anybody who bought a game on itch, like you can actually download their emails as well. You can reach out through
Mhm.
to them, and I ended up creating like kind of like my little started my newsletter,
Mhm.
and I would update them because me throw back here at the time the game wasn't finished. Like it was about
Mm.
90% finished, and then I just needed to take it to the next. I just needed to finish it, so that's what the pre-order
Yeah.
was for, kind of like a Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Which is another thing. I don't believe in Kickstarters either, but we can
Yeah.
get that.
We'll dig into it. Yeah, we got plenty of
Um,
time.
but what happened was I think you're aware that game dev can be very toxic, and
Mhm.
people can be very just untrustworthy. Like when you give them money, and will this Kickstarter again? Like people have been scammed there, and so that happens quite a bit, or that has happened in the homebrew community where people have funded a game and then like the creators just run off with the money or some weird stuff.
Mhm.
So I decided that I wasn't
Almost like
gonna.
crypto rug pulls.
Yeah, yeah, yes, that type of thing. So I decided that I was gonna be someone who was like over communicate. Like I was over communicate. I during the whatever 3 years I was talking to these people, like sending them updates. Like I would just tell them every little issue that came up. Um, and I try to do it as often as possible. Just let them know, hey,
Mhm.
here's this new feature, or here's what I'm going through with this thing. Here's why I couldn't get to this because I don't know,
Mhm.
someone broke my heart or whatever. And then up
Yeah.
to the point, like recently, it's been kind of interesting too because it's like we have tariffs, and then I'm waiting on like stuff to be fulfilled overseas, and then
Right.
no something. You know what? I think the worst thing that could have happened, that did happen, was I had like my computer boards, like the actual game itself on the PCB was
Mhm.
mailed to the wrong address, so
Oh
I had to
god.
like navigate getting that sent back here, and I'm updating them
Mhm.
the entire time, and then I every time s- we're talking like a group of 120 people, like a lot of them would respond back, and they would just be like
Wow.
the most positive stuff. Like, dude, I love these updates. Keep it going. Hey, hang in there. I'm excited for your game. It was like, it was like a weird thing to like receive an email from somebody, and it wasn't like you're a shit game designer. You know what I mean? Like the whole thing you would see in the comments, like these are people who are telling me what I'm enjoying what you're saying. Like these are I look forward to your update emails. Like that's just like
Mhm.
to me, I think game dev's boring, right? And I think the whole thing's boring.
Yes.
So I would never be like, I would, send that message. Of course, I'm in it, right? But I
Right.
realize that these people, uh, they're not in it. Like they don't, they have their jobs or whatever, but they don't know about any of the struggles or any of the
Mhm.
weirdness. A lot of times, like a lot of people don't understand like how toxic some gamers can be because you don't really see it.
Mhm.
Like normal people don't really even comment on things. There's like if they like something, those the
Oh,
internally they'll
just
be like, "I love this," and that's it. They'll walk away.
yeah.
Usually, the haters are what fill the comments. So they don't
Yeah.
really know. But when you share with them, like, "Hey, this is what I experienced," like they this kind of like, "What? This is so weird," and they get invested, which is what you want from your customers. You want them to be invested, not just financially, but like person to person. But what was really fun is I could email them back. I could say like, "Hey, thanks so much," and I could share things like, "Hey, this is what I'm working on," like because they ask about something, and I can give them a little bit of something I couldn't give to the group, because I wasn't
Yeah.
thinking
Yeah,
about it at the
yeah.
time. and that's kind of what clicked with me with the homebrew. And I have to admit, like, again, this is like a very specific group of people. You know,
Yeah.
they're older people who grew up with Game Boy games, and they're really excited about people who are just making games for the system itself. But
Mhm.
it just kind of clicked. It's refreshing because these it can't just be that group, right? Like
Mhm.
like people are better than the internet, you know?
Yes.
You know, like you
Yes.
can't just sum up everybody on the internet is the same. So it was just kind of refreshing to have these people reach out and say these things and be a part of the whole process. And then they're also looking forward to the next game, which is I think what you really want as a game dev, like indie game dev. I think is what we're all trying to achieve with our work. Like we want to have people come in and be invested with our next project and who like what we're doing, heck, as
Mhm.
artists, right? And so I finally got a taste of that. Like I finally got like some real evidence that what I'm making is something that I could do again and again, again and again.
Mhm.
Um, so I mean, that's just kind of what kind of clicked me into like maybe Steam and a lot of these digital platforms aren't so great.
Yeah.
As far as when it comes to that aspect of being a like having a business and being an artist, you know,
Mhm.
like you don't think about it. Um, at least I didn't think about it like that until
Yeah.
way late into my career, right? Like this is like a fresh epiphany for me. Like the idea that I
Yeah.
can connect with I can have customers and I can connect with them, that they can
Yeah.
invest and I can share like what I share with them is meaningful, which is wild to me in game dev because I feel like again, it oftentimes feels like the things we are doing are not meaningful, and the
Yeah.
comments and the feedback received isn't meaningful. Uh, because sometimes like a gamer might not understand what we're making or might not understand
Yeah.
the genre in general or just their need is so very basic kind of rooted in maybe just they need to feel something like an addiction rather than experiencing the game for what it is.
Yeah.
uh,
Well, and it's like I think what you're saying, it rings true to I feel like a lot of how devs feel, especially like or just the way the Steam is organized in the sense of like we just as an indie dev right now, it feels very natural to just be like, oh, just throw it on Steam. And what you've kind of tapped into feels like throwing it on Steam feels like you're throwing it into a void uh with no almost heart to it. You're like you're just giving it to a bunch of lack of a bunch of zombies that are just going to rip it apart. You know what I mean? In a lot of ways, compared to trying to own more of it, have a smaller, more committed audience, and then as you potentially grow and things grow, then expanding outward, but really honing in to a smaller core group that are actually people that support what you're doing compared to throwing it to the wolves in the way that Steam feels like it is in a lot of ways.
yeah, I think
I don't
my
know if that
one
sounds about right.
it's yeah, I mean it's about as good as it can be, I guess, right? I mean like I don't I'm still trying to figure it out, like, how to approach all this, in the
Mhm.
correct way, or at least what I think is the correct way, and so I'm approaching it, like, as a outward and meaning, like, I wanna build it outside, and then, like, Steam could be a part of it.
Yeah,
Because the truth is Steam can do a lot. Like, if you
yeah,
can get a game going on there, 'cause it has the monopoly on the digital PC
mhm,
market. Like, you get a game
yeah,
there, and it blows up.
you're
You
good.
know, it's so easy to make everything anybody in that position can make me look like an idiot. Very simple. If they were like, "Well, I got you know, I released my game last week after" you know, and it was like a meme game or
Yeah,
whatever, you know, and it got made $1 billion. Like, that person can make me look
I
stupid really quickly. But the
yeah,
real
those are those people I feel like are those types of situations are so the one that comes to my mind, but like so rare, but comes to my mind is that stupid banana game on Steam. I don't know if you remember that one.
mm,
It was a clicker banana game, and he was selling like skins essentially for the banana for like 99 cents. but for some reason, it's just like, our people's silly brains, they just were like, "I want this." It just became a thing, and it has, like, over hundreds and hundreds of thousands of downloads, and people are became a whole thing, but it's a meme. It's stupid. It's not a real game. It's literally a banana that you click. Anyway, I digress.
Yeah, so I think I don't think I'm ever gonna have a game like that. So I approach it from just my dumb millennial brain and doing the grassroots thing, right? And just
Yeah.
getting people interested and making sure that I'm not giving away my hard work to someone else. Which is what kind of feels like Steam is for me as a developer. As a customer, I
Mhm.
love it,
Of
right?
course.
It's convenient. I can browse stuff. It's there, I've refunded games, done the
Mhm.
whole thing. But as a developer, like as someone who wants to own a business and grow a business and hopefully one day have a studio and hopefully one day have employees and and have a bigger picture, it just you know what? Like there's gotta be a better way.
Yeah.
Um but then also
Well,
there's also
before Steam, that's the way things were. You
Mhm.
would buy games or something, you know what I mean? Or people would put stuff online and then you could play online. But there was a time before Steam, and I think people need to realize that there's other options besides just Steam, especially now. Like the fact that you can even play your game emulated on the web is a feat in itself that you weren't able to do, however
Oh
long
yeah.
ago.
Oh
You
man,
know
I
what I
wish.
mean?
I'll say this about that, like HTML5. I wish it would destroy the mobile market so much because it's so easy. 'Cause here's the thing about HTML5. For a long time, Apple wouldn't allow you to play HTML5 games on their phone.
God,
I
don't
remember
get me
trying
started
it,
with Apple.
right? Like
Don't
they block the websites, and it's obviously why. The obvious reason why is because it competed with their app store.
Mhm.
But the thing is, a web game can do everything you want an app game can do, but more because it's a website. Think about that. Like, anything you could do on a website, you could. It's a video game,
Yeah.
so it's a big deal. Like right now, I know because I've tested this. Like, I could make a website client that you could download onto your phone, and it could be its own app store, and it never even had to go through the process. I could take
Mm.
payments. I could do whatever I want. You could scroll. You can hit the click on the game, hit the full screen button, put a controller, connect your Bluetooth controller, and play it right there from
Yeah.
the web. Anything
Wow.
in the game be as quality as whatever you found on Steam.
Wow.
I hope and wish one day that people would get on like that would be a thing and just completely obliterate the mobile market.
Yeah.
I want that to happen
Well,
so bad.
generally, that's I'm an IT guy by trade, and so, and I have been for a very long time, let's just put it that way. And so, um, before Apple really decided to finally become something again, but Apple to me had always been such a frustrating product
Mhm,
as a someone who's in the tech field and things like that, because in general, they offered a product, an overpriced product, a far overpriced product compared to what you could get on like on the PC side. And not only that, they closed down any type of customization or anything that you would be able to do that you like they would just close the you had no ability to reprogram things, you had no ability to get in the registries or things like that, and they just closed everything down. And they did the same thing with their phones. They locked everything down so that people can't get in there or do anything. And so I hate this idea of closed markets,
mhm.
and they just don't. And I understand that for a lot of people, it's simple and they like it, the whatever. But I just feel like they did such a good job at marketing Apple did such a good job at marketing such an inferior product to people, and it's just wild. My wife has an Apple, and I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm not an Apple fanboy. Uh, I mean, I reluctantly have I have had an Android forever, and I refuse to ever cross over to Apple. But I don't like their tactics. I don't like the way that they They program their systems, their operating systems, everything that they do. I just don't like it.
I mean, like, I think that meme of the iPhone where they just compare like all these devices are now in this one thing.
Oh
You know what
yeah.
I'm talking about? That is a good image of just why everything is, because all that stuff we're talking about is right. It's in your handheld.
Hmm.
It's becoming condensed. It's an arcade, it's a movie theater, it's a Walkman, CD player. It's now and now it's even consuming the more modern stuff too. Like it's very it's a fascinating thing. But also I think it's definitely driving new markets of nostalgia, because part of like
Hmm.
the homebrew stuff, and I'm trying to understand. This is something I'm trying to understand, like the appeal, because it can't just be nostalgia that is appealing to why people would spend $55 on a modern Game Boy game, right? And,
Mm.
and part of it is like it's there's a collection aspect of it. There is the aspect of just taking someone back to their childhood, but also I don't know. It's a weird thing because Annihilator, for example, is a worse game on the Game Boy. Like,
Like performance wise, right?
performance wise, in actuality, compared to I would say the PC version, like it's old, right? It's outdated. The graphics aren't that good, or even pixel art standards today aren't that great.
Mm.
Um, it's only an hour long. Like, if you're really good at it, it's only an hour long.
Yeah.
Uh, Compared to like a modern version I'm working on, it's not good.
Yeah.
I mean, comparatively, like, it's not good, but I can sell that game, but that game is worth every bit of money to people who are buying it. Whereas like
Yeah.
the one for the PC is not as interesting. Like, it has like a less value to it, because it's not a Game Boy Color. It's like it's a digital only. It's really interesting.
I think
Um,
a lot of it too is just people wanting that feeling again of, a lot of it's it's chasing memories, and so having the idea of like, I like me being that person thinking about, because like I said, I want to buy once once you get all your cartridge stuff figured out, I want to buy a cartridge from you. I want to get one, but like just sitting down on your couch or wherever and actually just sitting there playing a Game Boy game that you've never played before. You know what I mean? That chase of nostalgia of just saying like, this is something fun and interesting. And
yeah,
additionally, like you said, why someone would pay $55. I think a lot of it has to do with the support behind indie devs. Like, you have your emails that you talk to your customer base, and it's like the people, it's like a sense of loyalty. It's like they're okay giving you $55 because it's like they know exactly where that money's going. And this
mhm,
has been a big thing or big contention that I've had with some people about triple A's, where you spend $70 nowadays on a triple A title, and you're like, the person that sat there that actually like put in the hard work in developing the game are getting a percentage of that $70, not the whole 70, a percentage, because it has to go through the publisher, it has to go through the marketing agency, it has to go through so many different, it has to go through the engines and all the different things, that the building that they're even working in, it has to pass through so many hands before it actually even makes a desired impact. You know what I mean? It just feels
mhm,
soulless in a way compared to spending $55. You're like, dude, I'm supporting this guy to make the next project. And I think that is one of the big things with indie and why I feel like there's so much momentum moving, shifting into this indie world. Because, well, there's that huge layoff, the huge resignation or layoffs that they're doing in triple A's, and people moving into indies. But it's just like, millennials were also so nostalgic. So it's like you can make almost anything because we've been through the entire gaming industry. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
this is true.
From
Yeah,
like, we've been through it all. We've
I
been
mean,
like from, even like early, like Atari, all the way into like what it is now. We've seen everything. And there's things that were like, hey, we like Game Boy Color games. I miss, or I just even fantasize of me sitting with like three of my friends around me. We're all like playing Pokemon or something. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
sharing the
Like,
controller,
yeah,
just
oh,
all the
exactly, or
just
the
yeah.
Nintendo, sharing Mario back and forth with the Nintendo, you know what I mean? Oh my god,
Yeah.
so it's just we've seen it all, and so, like, when AAA sit there and make this behemoth monster and put a $70 price tag on it, you kinda your eyes glaze over, especially for millennials. We kinda glaze over a little bit, and we're like, "Alright, well, let's, give it a shot," and then you buy it, and they're like, "Okay, also, we're gonna over monetize it by throwing a bunch of microtransactions." You're like,
Oh, yeah,
"Dude,
because it's
when
very
were the days where
exhausting.
I just could buy a game?" You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's exhausting. I think there's more psychological things to it than anything, like, because I buy Junji Ito, like, his books, right?
Mhm.
And there's so I think that's the thing. I could never read one of his books on, like, my phone or my
Mm.
tablet. Like, I just swiping, it just so I'd rather have to touch the page and turn it. Um, but also I can just read them anytime. I can sit back anytime and just, like, open one up. It's so easy to access. I think that might be another part of it because modern games are so exhausting to look at. Like,
Yeah.
just get to, it's so easy just to pop a cartridge into the thing and play it, and it just be the
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, it's like and it almost relieving in a way too. You know, there's nothing else gonna be on there. They're not gonna sell you anything else when you play the game. You're just like you pop it in and then it's just you and the game. You
Mhm.
just get to sit there and zone out and play the game and have a good time, man. Some of my most fondest memories are like, well, it's just like one of my favorite games of all time, like genres is just like Metal Gear and Metal Gear Solid. I remember, man, when that game came out, I played that game freaking A so many times in a row. I just over and over and over. I'd beat it and then I'd start over. I'd beat it and then start over.
Yeah,
And God, I those were so that was so much fun just playing those types of games over and over again.
yeah. Yeah, I'm curious to know what to kind of learn more about just the physical side of video games, like selling T-shirts. I had this something I want to do with the PC Annihilator PC was to offer a T-shirt along with the key.
We've gone all over the place today, but it's cool. This is the thing. Like when I started this show, like just a little bit of a digression, but it's like I started it because well, you touched on it, but just like getting that visibility has been it's difficult. It's really hard getting visibility, and especially if you're just going straight to Steam. You know, they give you a little bit, but it's just not enough. And so I was like, okay, well, I bet there are tons of other indie devs going through the same thing where they're trying to find a visibility. I'm like, I might be able to provide some sort of outlet to devs to be able to just talk about their story, their journey, how they got into it, et cetera, and their games and their projects. And hopefully the show kind of takes off and they get success because I think it's important that I very much believe all ships rise with the tide type of thing, and
Mhm.
if I can kind of make a ship and it rises, I everyone comes with it, and so um eh, and so the idea of this show was very much like I need to get exposure, but I also feel like other people do. So why don't I build this thing that people can come in here and just talk about their journey and but I don't know where I went on that tangent, but anyway.
Well, I think where that takes me is just want to talk about just like sharing knowledge and sharing information. Because
Yeah.
because again, like when you kind of look at this stuff, research it, you kind of get like very narrow window or picture of what's going on. Like you go to Reddit, and if you go to our game dev, it's all about wish lists and Steam. And
Yeah.
like, did you know that you could set up a store on Epic and wish lists there too? But
Oh
it's
yeah.
like a perspective thing, right? Because we don't want to be on Epic or whatever, ew, right? But no, no, no,
Yeah.
perspective, yeah, you do, because there's a lot of people in there. In fact, you want
Mhm.
your game on Steam and GOG and you all that. Like, you want the collection of wish lists,
Yeah.
and so it's like just kind of sharing that, getting people to like think about things, right? You know, another thing would probably be to consider was I was going to I was thinking about Steam just now too. But like for Kickstarter, for example, like what does Kickstarter actually do? Like the one thing they do is, let me tell you something they don't do is if you get scammed, they're not helping you out of that situation. Like when you throw your money in and it processes, you had clicked that agree button that says that you're going to get scammed. That you could possibly get scammed. There's nothing we will do about it. Right.
Yeah.
But all they really do is they put a hold on your payment, your PayPal payment or whatever. That's all it does,
Yeah,
and then they take a percentage of that, right?
yeah,
The trick is where we think, oh, here's what I was going, yeah. So the idea is we think that if we put it on Kickstarter, that we'll get the Kickstarter audience, right? Like we'll get all the visibility and stuff. That doesn't
mhm,
happen. Again, it's like Steam. You have to drive your traffic to Kickstarter for the convenience of the payment processor, which you could always set up yourself. You can set up your own PayPal store,
yeah,
right? Like to process things. The downside is that you screw up, you're going to get sued, but
yeah.
you don't have to screw up, you know. I think the
If you're doing it
idea.
honestly, you shouldn't worry about getting sued. If you're like, if you have the plan to put out a product that you are promoting, what do you worry about getting? Yeah, there's no worry there.
So I don't. It's just kind of interesting to me, the whole idea of like it's risk management, right? Like so, if you don't meet the thing, then no one has to commit to it, and that's like the savior in the sense of the thing, like for people. If the project really truly sucks, you don't really know.
Mm,
It could be awesome, but because there's no guarantee in the visibility, it's just if you put the hard work in, you promote it everywhere, you spend a ton of money, whatever, you get driving people traffic there, then you know, maybe it'll get funded. But even if it gets funded, you don't lose any. Like it's still risky, right? Like that's the.
yeah,
I just don't understand why that psychologically feels better for people. Whereas you could just kind of just sell the product, like um, I don't know.
I think
I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that. But other than like I knew that I didn't want to do Kickstarter when I was doing when I did Annihilator because I didn't want to pay them a cent to
yeah,
be stressed out for a month.
mm,
Um, that's on my side. I was like, I'm not going to be stressed out for 30 days, wondering if I'm going to meet this goal
yeah,
when I already know what my minimum order is, right? Like from putting together. Because the thing about Kickstarter is you're selling extra products, right? Like the whole point of it is like you get these rewards, and before you even start your Kickstarter, you've already planned that out, like what things cost. You should, anyways. Like you know. And so for my game, I know that the minimum I need is I just need to sell 25 games minimum,
mm,
right? It doesn't make sense for me to set up some oddball goal of $10,000 when I don't need to. When in reality, what's selling the game is the game itself. Like just people know about it and just you can show them what you're working on. Uh, I'm not going to say people should stay away from Kickstarter, but I think they should consider like finding ways to remove the middleman, right?
yeah. So I think
Uh,
it's like an obsession with these platforms a little bit. You know, you see, so I mean, I'll give the platforms and Steam and Kickstarter and all these platforms where you can go and post your thing. They do a good job at marketing themselves and how big their audience is. And so you get almost like roses in your eyes when you hear about it, and then you kind of go, okay, cool. I'm going to put my thing there and I should be able to get that, that that audience that I'm looking for. And so like in the Kickstarter, like you just said, like if I put it on Kickstarter, I'll get that Kickstarter audience. But what I think a lot of people are starting to realize, and the same thing could be said about Steam, is that Steam and these other platforms don't actually push you unless you push it first. And at that
yeah.
point, you've done all the heavy lifting, more or less, to get yourself where you even needed to really be. And then all of a sudden, they just kind of bump you up to a little bit higher. And it's like, you know, it's a good point that, especially, there's so many sources out there where you don't need to give 30% of your game, or you don't need to give a percentage of your funding or whatever it is. There's so many things out there free. I mean, just even social posting, social media,
Hmm.
Reddit, etc. These platforms are starving for just content. And if you can just create content and put stuff up there, you'll naturally start to grow an audience. And yeah, I mean, yeah, that's all I really have to say about that. But It's a good point. I think people should really start to think about where the bottom line is just like build yourself an audience. These platforms are not going to do it for you. Steam is not going to make sales for you. Kickstarter is not going to fill your order or your
Mm,
pledge. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's ultimately it's up to you to promote your creative, your whatever you're making. Your Because I have people that I'm talking to too that are doing comic books or whatever that I want to get on. I want to get this show is itself. It's like it's because that's the cool thing about game dev is that it encompasses so many different creative outlets. Our artists, like how you said you did music or you were a trained you did music you were a musician, and so like when you consider game dev, it encompasses music, it encompasses artists, it
Mhm.
encompasses coders, it encompasses all these different artists. And so I'm trying to pull in more other people that are just there. People just want to do animation. So they're trained animators, things like that, that do, television and things like that. So it's like I'm trying to pull in all these different elements into the show because it's crazy. But whatever you're promoting, don't count on whatever platform you're on to do the work for you. You still have to promote yourself.
Yeah, I look at it as like choke points, like I want to like my goal is to make a sale from person to person, and every choke point I put in between there affects that sale, right? Like
Mm,
a good example would be email. Like even with email, even though I could connect that person one to one, uh usually only half people will open up the email. And as that goes further in, less than half will click on the link, and then even
yep.
less than half will actually do something. And it's good to
Hmm.
realize that because when someone like promotes something to you, and this is a big thing this actually think happening now with indie devs, it's like distributors or promoters. Hey, look at all these eyes that have all these followers. Really, about only 5% of those people are actually doing anything on
Hmm.
their follower list. Um, and it's good to know that kind of thing because people you can get screwed over really quickly. You can get yourself into a stupid situation, trust kind of being desperate. So I think it's a good idea to sit down and kind of look at your goals and then figure out what all the choke points are. And Steam, what are the choke points of Steam? Like what do I have to get through for it to be useful?
Hmm.
Or
Hmm.
Epic or Kickstarter or Reddit. Like what are the choke points here that posting in this community versus this some other community or even with ads. Like what are the choke points of using Facebook ads versus Reddit ads and getting like perspective on it. I think at least for me it kind of helped me understand that I don't need to commit as much of my time and effort in these places. And then that like realizing that like for instance giving an ad or getting a good post on Reddit will boost the game. Like it's the same as if I were to hire somebody to do something
Yeah.
or whatever. Like just kind of
Yeah.
like realizing that okay, I don't need this or I don't need to do this.
Yeah.
Um,
That's a really good point. No, I like the way you said choke points. What do I need to make this thing useful? If I'm going to put it here, what is the things that I have to do to actually make it useful for me? Otherwise, if I can't complete those objectives, then what's the point of being on it?
right.
So that's a good point.
But then there's also the
Um,
things like newsletter. Like what are the choke points between me and my newsletter? Just a form. And like, oh, that's easy to
mm,
do. I should implement that. Like, like
mhm,
kind of this looking at it like a from above, if you will, in that way.
yeah. Well, right on, man. We are running up right to the time, and I'm gonna let's do a little bit of an outro, and then let everyone know where to find you, where to find your game Annihilator, and what's coming up next, and just kind of give everyone a full rundown of what they should expect and where to find you and where to find your games.
Yeah, my name's Brandon. I also known as Salt&Pixle. My company is Salt&Pixle LLC. Pixel artist. As one half of me as I'm constantly doing Pixar, the other half I'm making Game Boy Color games now. So you can find me at saltandpixel.com. Uh, that has all the stuff there if you want to kind of follow what games are coming out. So right now, for Game Boy Color, I have Annihilator, which is a top-down shooter. Probably, I think the only one. It's of a mature nature for the Game Boy Color.
Yeah.
Just released. You can find it on itch. I'll actually send you like links and stuff for all this. Um,
Perfect.
but that one's out. I was doing a pre-order, but I had to cancel it because of the tariff situation. But I'm hoping to do another one. My next project is Night of the Flesh Eaters, which is a prequel to Night of the Living Dead. Actually, that has a whole history to it as well. On my website, if you want to look it up, but it will. That is the next project. It will be a top-down survival horror, kind of like Resident Evil and Link's Awakening. That's kind of like they had to pick the two. It'll play like Link's Awakening, but it'll have that survivor horror aspect of Resident Evil.
That's awesome.
That one's I'm looking forward to. But yeah, no, God, I got so much to talk about as far as like stuff I'm doing. Like I have an arcade on my website. You can go play some games in. I'm converting a lot of my Game Boy Color games into PC versions, so you could play those as well. Man, that's the big things right now. The current today stuff. So
Yeah.
I feel like I'm
Well,
always leaving something out.
well, I'll definitely have all of your links in the show description for sure. So if you need to find anything, this for the viewers, if you need to find anything about Brandon, his links, all of it, he'll send me all the links that he'll want me to put on there. But you'll be able to find him there, and I definitely recommend supporting him because it's all the support we need. Us indies, all we need support, and I think it's important. And I think your projects are really cool. So,
Thank you.
but anyway.
Yeah, thanks
Man,
for
it was
having me on.
awesome talking to you. Yeah, for sure, man. This one went on. I think this is my longest one, but it was definitely worth it for sure.
So sorry, yeah, all the editing you'll have me do. I
No,
have to remove that. This dude's crazy. You can't put that on there.
it's all good. It's all good. No,
This
it
is
was
getting
great conversation, man.
demonetized for sure.
No way, man. This will be great. Even, I mean, I'm not even monetized yet, so it's all good. Well, right on, man. It was great talking to you.